coming to you live. It's In the Know with Mo. And now, here's your host, Mo Vela.
That is a fun intro. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the In the Know with Mo podcast. It's my first podcast ever, so please be kind to me. I'm going to take y'all through this next hour with the topic, the power of innovative public schools. So I'll start off with letting y'all know who I am, as Mo would like to refer to me as his favorite niece in Harlingen. It's an inside joke amongst our family. But I'm actually a proud product of our Harlingen Public School District. And I now currently work for the district in the role of the Director of Media and Public Relations. And just how I got here with a little bit of background information, I have my bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism, my master's in journalism, switched to work in the public relations field. I worked for Texas PTA for a while, and now I'm here working for this fabulous school district, and I know I'm in the right place where I need to be, and I'm super happy to be here and then to be with you all to share information about our public school system. And as a director of PR, I could go on for hours, right, talking about the entity that I work for, but just to give everybody some background information about Harlingen and where we're located. When I moved up to the Dallas area, they ask where I'm from, and I say Harlingen. Sometimes, people will say Arlington, and I'm like, no, Harlingen. So we're down, and then I'll end up saying we're down by South Padre Island. So if you know where South Padre Island is, down at the tip of Texas, that's where we are in Harlingen. And Mo actually grew up here as well, so he's also a graduate of Harlingen High School, just like I am. And so this is just a little bit of background information on Harlingen CISD. So we're a school district with 17,000 students that are across 30 campuses. We're the largest employer in our community in Harlingen. We have over 3,000 employees, about 3,200. And just between our 30 schools, starting with the transformation of our early college high school in 2007, out of the 30, we offer about 10 specialty schools. And really that first school, which is now a UTRGV Harlingen Collegiate High, where we have a really unique partnership with our local university, we've been really able to transform innovative schools and provide opportunities for children. And just even if it's not a specialty school, we can find a school, or our schools will help our students find what they're passionate about. And just another example is in our high schools, we have what are called academies where students can earn industry certifications. And I think that's just part of innovative opportunities that we're able to offer students. A thing about an innovative public school system, I think it really needs the strong asset and a strong community support system. So here in Harlingen, our community supported the passing of a tax ratification election in 2015, and that helped fuel an extra $10 million into our school system, where we've just been able to make really crucial renovations. We've been able to buy band instruments for students, upgrade lighting in classrooms. So without that community support, we couldn't do those things that we need to do. And just we have a really strong school board. And I think that's so important to get your community out to vote in the local school board elections. Our school board here in Harlingen in 2019, they were voted best school board in the state of Texas by the Texas Association of School Administrators. And so one of our guests will talk about how our school board is nationally recognized. So we're blessed in Harlingen. This strong backing allows us to excel, make time for planning innovative experiences for children, advancing opportunities. And we all recognize in this system that public education is a really powerful tool, and it can really change the children's lives and the trajectories in which they're going. And so we're doing all that down here in South Texas. And I'm going to kick off our interview with our first topic, which is going to be the elementary education and where it all starts. And so students spend 13 to 14 years in school, and it's essential that you start at the beginning, right? That it's about fostering that joy for learning, starting in PreK, creating positive experiences for parents and for students, and just getting a child ready for kindergarten. And so my first guest is going to talk with me about that. And she's actually someone I've known since I was in elementary, and not that I ever went to the principal's office, because I never did. I was a very good student. But Laurie Romero was my assistant principal in elementary at Long Elementary, and she now oversees all 17 of our elementary schools in Harlingen. So she is the associate superintendent for elementary education. And she has just a heart for children, and I'm so excited to have her here as a guest. So welcome, Laurie.
Thank you, Brianna, for that kind introduction. Thank you very much. And good afternoon, everyone.
Of course. Laurie, let's talk about pre-K and early childhood. And why do we focus on putting a child and making a child in pre-K become kinder ready?
So we have years of research. I'm going to talk a little bit about that because I think people need to understand the why. When you study the development of the brain of a child, from birth to year 5 is where it's going to grow the most, and they're going to capture the most of their experiences, right? So that being said, we have a window of time to make sure that we're putting the right experiences in front of children. What a lot of people don't know is that our pre-K actually has some guidelines that we have to go by. And those guidelines are very specific of what children should be learning. There's actually 10 domains in there. Goes from our social emotional, goes to literacy, math, science, social studies, technologies even in there. And in all of those domains, there are certain markers that children should be at that age, right? So we work very diligently to make sure that our students are meeting those markers. Now, what the state has done as well is they have an assessment called the Texas KIA. And all of the students, when they enter kindergarten around October-ish, take this test that tells us how ready they are for kindergarten. So think about that a little bit. They've had all the summer break, right? And then that test happens in October. They have a little bit of teaching from kinder, it happens in October. And so that test tells us how ready they are to learn in all the different areas, from social emotional, being able to self-advocate for themselves, how many letters they recognize, how many numbers they recognize, are they able to add already objects, shapes. It goes on and on and on from what these students have to do. The writing piece is also a part of it. So this is very important because as we start the kindergarten years, we need to make sure that our students are on point and they don't have gaps. I will share with you that several years back, our percentages were not where we wanted them to be in kinder readiness. We were brushing in the 60 percentiles. We hired a fabulous lady by the name of Carmen Alvarez to be our director of early childhood literacy. And we put several things in place, and our percentages now are in the 90s, and we're 30% above the state average in the area of pre-kindergarten. And so the importance of that, I can't stress enough. What happens as these children go to kindergarten, are they not only ready to learn, but they're actually learning probably beyond what they should be in kindergarten. They're advanced, in other words. So they're ready to actually accelerate the learning just because of all the foundational work that has been done in those pre-K classrooms.
What are some of those like innovative like projects or classroom, activities that they're doing that have helped us grow to that level?
So some of the innovative things we did, it all starts with, you are never going to change outcomes unless you change instruction. So it starts with the teacher. So we did a lot of teacher training to make sure our teachers have the right tools as we put them in front of our students. So we actually have something that we do every summer called PreK University. And it's a training for our teachers. They come a whole week and we bring different trainers down, and it's here. It happens here in the district. And we work with them on making sure that they have the materials they need, the programs, and that professional development continues throughout the year. It isn't just one time. We follow through, and during the year, we're supporting our teachers. So that's the very first important thing that we did to innovate that space. The second thing that we did is we made it a full day program. The state will give us funding for a half a day program, right? But we decided that we needed to extend that program. So we do the full day pre-kinder. And so that makes a huge difference. All of a sudden, you have twice as much time to work with students. And then the third thing we did as a community, which I think is awesome, we let anybody come to pre-kinder. So with pre-kinder, you have to qualify. There's certain guidelines that you have to meet, or criteria to get into our programs. But here in Harlingen, if you're 4 years old, you're in. And we knew that's how much we understand that it's to their benefit for them to be with us. because we know at the end of the day, it's going to pay in leaps and bounds if we can get them at the right start.
That's so crucial. And Laurie, I know I just gave like a brief background, right? That you were my assistant principal, but just tell us about your experiences in the classroom and at a campus and how it's gotten you to where you are and what you and Carmen have been able to do with our innovative pre-K program.
Sure. So this is my 34th year in education, all in elementary. So that is my space, right? And I was a kindergarten teacher. I was a first grade teacher, taught second grade as well, and did a couple of years of fourth grade. After that, I was an assistant principal for 8 years and then a principal for 8 years. So several roles, always with the little ones, and got started with the little ones. And so really understanding that's where we have to get it right at the very beginning.
Awesome. Well, I cannot wait for when we come back from our commercial break. We're going to be talking about just an extra innovative activity and program that Laurie and Carmen have been working on together that I think will really transform the game here in Harlingen and hopefully others take root in this model. So when we come back, that's what we will be discussing.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I think we can chat.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping, taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or two, or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey sis, missed you this morning. Kim told me you weren't feeling well, so I'm just doing a self-care check.
Oh, thank you, friend.
How you doing?
Girl, listen, my energy was so low because I didn't eat breakfast when I got up, so I had to miss virtual yoga with y'all.
Trust me, I understand.
But I'm doing much better now that I've eaten, so I'm back on track.
Great. In that case, let's get some steps in tonight. I'll come over and we can walk around the lake.
Sounds good. Appreciate you being in my business, too. Now, let me get in yours. Did you check your blood pressure today?
I did that and my squats, okay?
Okay.
High blood pressure is not going to be my friend if I can help it. See you at 6?
Let's get it. See you then.
Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our hearts and the hearts of those we love. Check in on one another and be a part of a healthy blood pressure movement. Rally your squad to take the online pledge at releasethepressure.org. Brought to you by the Release the Pressure Coalition and the Ad Council.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 2001. That was the day that Thomas Morris Jr. died from breathing in anthrax. A week earlier, he had been exposed to the deadly poison when an envelope containing the powdery substance was opened at the mail distribution center where he worked. Thomas Morris was a member of the American Postal Workers Union. His union brother, Joseph Cursine, died 2 days later. Both men worked at the U.S. Postal Service Brentwood Processing and Distribution Center in Washington, D.C. The poisoned letters were addressed to Senators Tom Daschle and Patrick Leahy. More postal workers at a distribution center in New Jersey also fell ill from exposure to anthrax-poisoned mail. In total, 22 people were sickened by anthrax that fall from letters addressed to politicians and news outlets. In addition to those injured, 5 people died, including a 7-month-old infant who was visiting NBC News in New York City with his mother who worked there. Coming the month after the September 11th attacks, the anthrax poisoning sent another wave of fear of terrorism throughout the United States. The Brentwood Distribution Center was closed down for decontamination until December 2003. When it reopened, the facility was renamed for the 2 fallen postal workers. The next year, Senator Joe Lieberman gave an address to the APWU. He said, quote, "The postal workers who were exposed to anthrax and still got the mail out and kept our system system running. They are proud union members. I know I'll never forget that, and America won't forget that. All of you at the APWU deserve our respect and our support. One person suspected of the poisonings committed suicide, and the case was closed. No one was ever convicted of the crimes. For more information, go to laborhistoryin2.com, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at laborhistoryin2.
Mid-afternoon, pick me up with that music. All right, well, and since we're coming back onto the show, I'm Brianna Vela Garcia, and I'm the niece of Mo for In the Know with Mo podcast, and he let me be a guest host today. He asked me, and I'm so thrilled to have the opportunity to be here and to just talk about the public school system, where I work in Harlingen. And the topic for today is the power of innovative public schools. And so I'm with our guest, Laurie Romero. She oversees our elementary campuses. And Laurie, we were just talking about how great pre-K is in HCISD and just the foundation that starts there. And I sat in a meeting with you yesterday about an innovative school we're opening next year for pre-K. What can you tell us about the campus that we're about to open in HCISD?
So we're super excited. This is going to be a really nice place. So, we talked a little bit about the transformation that we had in our pre-K space. And obviously, academically, we've just grown 30 percentage points, right? So awesome for our teachers and all their hard work. Now what we're going to do is we're going to innovate a little bit. So we're going to take something that's already good and we're going to make it great. So we will be actually transforming one of our buildings into an early childhood academy. And it will house 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. And what's going to be a little bit different in this center is that we're going to have outdoor learning spaces. And so a lot of the learning that you see in the classroom will actually be happening outside. We're going to take it outside. Now, there's been all kinds of research, right, that tell you why that's so good for children. Down from physical activity, being healthy, changes your mood. As adults, if we go outside for a little bit, it changes our mood as well, right?
Definitely.
So, just having these hands-on activity and making sure that our students are understanding and out with nature and having these experiences that maybe some wouldn't have. We talk a lot about how things have changed. A lot of our students may live in apartments and don't have outdoor areas to play. So it's going to be a lot of hands-on learning and fun. And, when you look at pre-K4, you look at the purpose, right, of why you're doing things, the planning of why you're doing it, and then the play, because that is how our 4-year and 5-year-olds learn. They learn through play. So we're very excited. We're going to have different outdoor centers that will actually be focusing in different areas. We're going to have some that focus on science, some that focus on motor skills. We're going to have little tricycles where they can go up and down pathways and make sure that they know how to ride a tricycle. They're going to have little raincoats and galoshes. So even when it's rainy weather, we're going to go out there and do some experimenting, right? What happens? The other piece that I think is imperative, and it's going to be very different, we are going to create in this building a space where we do a lot of training with our parents. And so this area will be where we're starting our parents from the very beginning as their students are starting their career, educational career, and really explaining to parents the importance of literacy, the importance of numeracy, the importance of the parent being involved in their child's education, because all of the research shows us all of that, right? But really bringing our parents in and creating a place where parents feel safe, where parents feel comfortable, and they're really a partner with us in the education of their child. So I'm very excited about that piece too, as we're bringing our parents in and bringing them along and then getting them involved from the very beginning. And hopefully that'll carry out through the rest of their school years.
Yeah, because this would be the first campus many parents would walk through the door ever, right, with their child. And, we recognize that our children are our most important asset in our community. So just providing and kicking off that experience. Who wouldn't want to see a little pre-K student in rain boots and little, rain boots outside playing and just having a great time. And so that's so exciting. Like, I can't wait to be on this journey with y'all as we build the marketing plan for this campus. Those are just part of the fun experiences we want to provide kids. We know how important it is for students to have fun in school. What are some extra areas in elementary as children progress up through 5th grade where we provide those unique opportunities?
So the first thing that we always talk about before we innovate any space or transform any space is making sure we have a solid foundation. So all of our elementary teachers have had intensive training on NIHOUSE. So NIHOUSE is one of our programs that we have for our reading. Goes into phonics, phonemic awareness, graphemes, all kinds of things of how the reading of science works, right? Because very important for our teachers to know that. So that's a big piece. We get our academic very strong. The other piece we have is guided reading. So guided reading is our teachers use that it's as a best practice where you're teaching in small groups. Not all of our children are in the same spot, right? So we can't have a lesson that is just at one level. So this guided reading is tailored and individualizes instruction for all of our students. We meet them where they're at. If you're above grade level, we're going to meet you there. If you're below, we're going to bring you along. And so we're going to keep challenging everybody. So once that's in place, which it is in all of our 17 elementaries, all of our teachers get intensive training. Matter of fact, they're getting job embedded training now as we speak with Scholastic with that guided reading. Then we also transformed a lot of our spaces. And so we do have a Fine Arts Academy. And so that school has a little bit of the flavor, just like what it sounds, the arts, right? They have the music, they have the dance, they put on productions. After school, students can stay and they're able to take part in all of these different activities that have to do with the fine arts. They have the drama. And so incredible, these children have actually gone to compete and outdone children that are in middle school and high school and won awards at that young age. So just incredible the work that they're doing there. So that's one of our schools. The other two that we just transformed, we have two that became internationally baccalaureate schools. And so those two schools, that IB program is a program that really focuses on the child and certain behaviors, right? They look at that open-mindedness. They look at them, are they risk takers? Are they reflective? All the characteristics that we want our good learners to be. And so those IB campuses, that brings a little bit of flavor of looking at the world as a whole. And how do I fit in, respecting other cultures, other people. And so it has a little bit of a different spin. It is also very challenging as far as the work with the students have to do the rigor. But it's a great program. So we have those two campuses as well that are internationally baccalaureate campuses. And then we have two campuses that are STEM now. And so those, of course, focus a lot on the science and the math, right? A lot of hands-on, maker spaces, neat things for kids to do, a lot of hands-on activities. And so those are some of the ones we have. All of our students also get to go and get swimming lessons with our SEAL program.
I was going to say, I hope you mentioned SEAL because it's one of my favorite programs
awesome.
we have.
We have so many bodies of water here in the Rio Grande Valley, with our resacas and canals, that we want our children to have the skill set. Should something happen, they'll be able to at least, not something fatal happen. They'll be able to swim. They'll have the skill set to do that. And so our SEAL program is awesome. Our kids love it. They get to go there for a couple of weeks and learn the basics. And then we have swim teams as well that our little ones can join. So that's just, awesome. Another thing that we offer for our kids.
I love it. I love it all. I think that's why I love my job so much, right? Laurie, and just before you go, what are some things you would encourage people in their community to support their local public schools and support their local elementary campuses?
So I think that just to support them is getting to know what we offer. And then as a community, we always welcome. We actually are partners with HEB. We have some of our insurance agencies that work with us hand in hand. And so we're always welcoming anybody who wants to come in from the community to help us, because it really is a whole village to raise these children. So we welcome that.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Laurie, for being here with us today. Our next topic, we're going to cover fine arts. We've talked about the elementary, but we're expanding into what we're doing in middle school and high school. So stay tuned, everybody. Bye, Laurie. Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Can I touch this? Where does sand come from? Is this tree good for climbing? What happens if I mix these two things together? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Storing your guns securely is the best way to prevent family fire, including unintentional shootings. For more information on safe gun storage and ways to keep your family safe, visit endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org.
What do we keep in the attic? What's this thing called? Can I ride my bike backwards?
Like I said, kids are curious. It's up to us to keep them safe. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
For many people, the animals they adopt and love become more like family members than pets. We have deep relationships with cats, dogs, parrots, goats, horses, and other fellow critters who at least pretend to love us back, providing comfort and joy all around. Sadly, though, life for all of us animals is a spin around the wheel of fortune, so illness and injuries happen. That's why one of the most valued members of every community are the staffers in our local veterinarian offices. Practically all vets, nurses, technicians, and support staff are there chiefly because they love animals and get personal satisfaction from providing care for them. When I say they are there, I not only mean 9 to 5, but this group of independent health providers are committed to being there when needed, including off hours and days off, for animal misfortune and suffering don't go by clocks and calendars. Local practitioners also try to be there for low-income people, offering deferred payment plans and even discounted fees so their animals can get the treatment they need. But wait, sound the ambulance sirens. Something is going horribly wrong. This venerable profession has recently been collapsing into a corporate model of Wall Street-owned chains. They're monopolizing markets, reducing staff, gutting service, and prioritizing the love of money over the love of animals. It's not uncommon these days for frantically worried customers to bring an ill or injured pet into their old reliable vet office, only to find it has quietly come under chain ownership, is understaffed, and is unwilling to accept the patient, forcing a desperate scramble to find emergency care, often out of town. This is Jim Hightower saying the same profiteering corporate mentality that has proven disastrous for human health care is now rapidly locking down pet care, and that's an act of animal cruelty.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to In the Know with Mo podcast. And when we keep coming back from commercial breaks, I keep wanting to let y'all know I'm Mo's niece, Brianna Vela Garcia, and I work for Harlingen CISD. And our topic today is the power of innovative public schools. And so in our school district, Harlingen CISD, we draw focus to the 3 A's: arts, academics, and athletics. And they're not listed in any particular order, but we just know based on our experiences and through meeting the needs of children in our community that when arts and athletics are added on to the academic and experience, or arts and athletics, right, you provide a well-rounded experience for kids. And so my next interviewee, she could literally work in Hollywood or New York, Broadway. They're going to take her after this podcast, right? Honestly, her passion for the arts has just transformed HCISD. And even just in the 6 years I've been here and what I've been able to see, and the kids that graduate from Leanne's program are incredible. So without further ado, our Fine Arts Coordinator, Ann Ince for Harlingen CISD. Welcome, Leanne.
Well, welcome. Thank you for having me, Brianna. You can go ahead and give me that introduction anytime you want. That was quite an
Perfect. So
introduction.
New York, Broadway, and
I
Hollywood.
appreciate
Disney
it.
and Ince. Let's give some background information to our audience today about your role and the HCISD Performing Arts Center. Tell us about the journey we've been on the last few years.
Well, this is my 30th year. Yes, the 30th. I had to spit that out, had to think about it. 30th year as an arts educator with Harlingen CISD. And I can't imagine being anywhere else. I was going to be here for a year and came down from Oklahoma, thought I would check it out. And 30 years later, here I am. 25 of those, I served as the head theater director and speech and debate coach at Harlingen South High School. And then the last 4.5, moving into my 5th year as a fine arts coordinator, have definitely been a journey, to say the least. And to answer your question, that journey has included, and you've been here to see it, I've been in on the ground work of opening the H means, turning it into a fine arts academy for students pre-K through 5. Then we decided, okay, well, we need somewhere for them to go. So let's do the Gutierrez Middle School of Arts and Sciences. So our 6th through 8th graders will have that same opportunity with those same tracks. And then as if that wasn't enough, I had to sit around, and dream up a plan. Let's open a conservatory.
Of course.
And so that has been the bulk of my planning, my work. And I serve as the director of the Performing Arts Conservatory here in Harlingen. And I'm so very proud of that project. They said, build it and they will come. And they came.
I love it. And tell us about the conservatory. There's not really one located near us. So how did y'all develop that concept and, transform how our high school students get that educational experience?
Well, in 2018, shortly after, the year that I took over this role, we went on to win the 6A One Act Play State Championship.
What? State championship?
State championship. And I think what's so unique about that is I didn't even realize this at the time. We were only one of 3 schools and the first since 1962 to bring the state championship in one act play back to the Rio Grande Valley. It's only been here 3 times. It was the first time for Harlingen South, of course, but only the 3rd time for the RGV out of over 100 years in existence. So it really did put us on the map. It says, we are here, we're here to play. And we're also going to take your top performer award as well, which went to James Gracia, who is now in his senior year at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts. And I think it was at that point we realized we've got to do something more for these kids. We are so disconnected in a way in the RGV from, the bigger metroplex areas where students have access to professional people in the industry that could come in, and we're kind of,
or even to just go see a Broadway, a Broadway on tour.
All the way to McAllen, and then that series was shut for a while. So we said, we know we have the talent, we know we have it, and so we've just got to do something to cultivate it and get it out there and let other people see what's happening here in the Rio Grande Valley. And I think winning that state championship really took us in that direction. And so with that, started doing some research, and I like what you said, there's not many of these. And so I'm Googling, right? What's conservatories?
Everything starts with a Google search.
Yeah,
so yes.
In the United States. I wanted something that I could model it after, kind of like what do other people in the country do that want this type of programming? And I found one in Minnesota. And it was, I think, in St. Paul, Minnesota. And so I looked at their model. Now, there is the Houston School of Performing and Visual Arts, very similar model, but I like to say that ours is unique. We took a little bit from that, a little bit here and there, but south of Austin, you're not going to find anything like this type of programming. And that's what makes it so very unique. And when I said build it, they, and they will come, I was worried we're going to put all this designing into it and decide, and then we're going to open it up and say you have to audition and no one's going to audition. That was my biggest fear. And then I looked up and we had people from McAllen wanting to come to Harlingen CISD so they could be part of the conservatory. We had a student who moved from Victoria, Texas, and found a place to live down here just so he could be part of the Harlingen Performing Arts Conservatory. And that's when I knew people have been wanting this. This wasn't just my dream. This was everyone's dream that wants to go into the performing arts so they can have that competitive edge.
What are some of those, like, a day in the life? How many hours does a child spend at the conservatory? What are some activities that they do in their classroom settings?
Well, that's a great question because these students are truly dedicated. They are focused. Like I said, they have to audition to get into the program, and then they have to give up all of their electives are in their specific track. So we offer 4 tracks, which is technical theater, straight theater, musical theater, and dance. And so within those tracks, you're getting rigorous coursework on a daily basis that is really pre-professional training to help them once they move into their post-secondary education, or if this is the career path they decide to take. Even if it isn't, we're going to treat them as if it is, and we're going to get them there. And I think what makes this program so unique and special from others is that we decided we're going to bring in a guest artist every month. And we brought in people that have been to Juilliard, someone that is performing currently now in The Lion King on Broadway. Film, TV stars came down to give kids the tricks of the industry.
And just exposing them to those
making
individuals.
connections.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really important. These kids already kind of have a network out there of who they, and every one of the guest artists that came down, they looked around at this beautiful performing arts facility we have.
Yeah, I wish I could put it up on the screen
I know.
for everybody to see.
It's incredible. And they look around and they talk about how this is better than what they have in New York to work at. They said, where was this when I was in high school? I would have loved to have known all that you guys are getting to know. And so the kids, like I said, they really are focused. They soak it all in. They come in, they spend about from 1:30 to 4 here taking their classwork. Then they get a break till 5:30, and they're back from 5:30 to 7 in rehearsals, sometimes a little past 7. And in addition to all of this, most of them also still compete in speech and debate for their high schools, which is incredible how they're able to manage all of this.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it teaches them time management also, which is so important in any field you go into.
What would you say to a viewer or listener about how can they support their public school fine arts system? Like, what can they do in their hometowns to show how important and crucial fine arts is in a child's primary education experience?
Well, money always helps to get through, so we can give scholarships and bring in these guest artists. And we have a wonderful support system within our community. And with that, I decided to start the Patron of the Arts Foundation, which does have PreK levels so that they can come and see the work that these kids are doing. But also 100% of the money they give goes to help them and provide them with scholarships. But I think just volunteering your time, if you have a skill set, or buying a ticket and watching a show and bringing your family, it can be something so small, because we all know that the studies, and it's proven through data that kids that are exposed to fine arts have higher test scores, that participate in fine arts are less likely to drop out of school. Not to mention their social and emotional well-being and how it's increased. And that's so important right now, coming off of COVID. It's almost like therapy, if you will, for them, and an escape. And so, get your kids involved in some way, shape, or form, whether it's playing an instrument, singing, dancing, acting, or working behind the scenes like our technical track, students are doing. There's so many different ways that you can, and I think just informing your community and making them aware of all of the opportunities that are out there for their children. And
I love
pushing
it.
for that. Pushing for that. Don't take no for an answer.
Love
if your
it.
district doesn't want to support the arts, go get the data. Go tell them why it's so important. We're lucky that our board gets it.
We are. Well, when we come back, we'll talk about some recent productions, so stay tuned.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. We show up differently, worship differently, and have found new ways to express our love and support to family and friends. But now there are vaccines, and they are the first step that lets us get back into the things we miss most, like spreading the word without spreading concern, girls tripping instead of solo sipping, brunching instead of late night munching, and talking.
Welcome to Code WAC, your podcast on America's broken healthcare system and how Medicare for All could help. I'm your host, Brenda Gazar. So what in the world are direct contracting entities, and how might they affect the healthcare of American seniors?
As a recent article in Health Affairs blog said, this is Orwellian in the way it's titled. If you remember from the previous episode, traditional Medicare is very direct, right? Medicare has a direct relationship with doctors, so that sounds like a direct contracting relationship. But that's not at all what this means. This new name, Direct Contracting Entities, is a program that was begun under the Trump administration overtly to introduce the private industry, venture capital and private equity and for-profit insurance, to way to introduce them into the 60% of Medicare that they don't have access to today. Industry has said, well, we want a part of that pie. And so they persuaded the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Innovation to start this. It's still a pilot program where, much as in Medicare Advantage or is in accountable care organizations or in a few other programs, Medicare would no longer pay doctors and hospitals. Instead, they would pay these new for-profit venture capital, private equity, or insurance company or publicly traded companies. All of your money for healthcare would go there, and then they would be in charge of doling out the payments to doctors and hospitals and such. It's a little bit more nuanced than that. There are some variations to this, but in general, direct contracting entities, in direct opposition to the way the name sounds, creates a new level of fiscal intermediaries, a new at-risk group whose interest is in you not getting care, not in you getting care. It's a dreadful concept.
Thank you, Dr. Ed Weisbart. Find more Code WAC episodes on progressivevoices.com and on the PV app. You can also subscribe to Code WAC wherever you find your podcasts. This podcast is powered by Heal California, uplifting the voices of those fighting for healthcare reform around the country. I'm Brenda Gazar.
All right, well, welcome back to In the Know with Mo podcast. I'm Mo's niece, Brianna Vela Garcia, and I'm here to talk about the power of public schools, innovative public schools, because that's what we are in Harlingen CISD. And I have our finance coordinator, Ann Ince, with us. And Leanne and I on the break were talking about the two most recent productions that literally blew my mind. Like, I just love everything that they produced there. And so Leanne, tell the audience about, two things that we just like back to back had to showcase.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I think we were so, our intermission was so long because of COVID. And it was kind of like go big or go home, right? And we were ready to come out with a bang. And I'm going to be completely honest. about midway through Legally Blonde, which is what we opened our season with this year, I thought we've bit off a little more than we can chew. I was like, from the score to the choreography to the show behind the show, 35 scene changes, over 100 light cues, quick changes. I mean, this challenged every student in the conservatory, whether they were a dancer, an actor, a singer, or a technician. And so that's really what we wanted to do. We wanted to come back with something that was upbeat and uplifting and fun, because people just needed that after COVID. And I thought, well, what show is going to be able to do that, but at the same time challenge our kids that have been out for a year, really? And yeah, after I looked at Legally Blonde, and it's always been on my radar. It's always been one of those shows I wanted to do, but never really felt like I had all of the and you saw the show, so you know there were so many kids were featured in that production. You didn't walk away just going, it's all about Elle Woods.
No,
which
not at all.
She's phenomenal, yes, but there were so many kids that were
Absolutely.
featured. And so that was exciting. And as we were talking about, we closed Legally Blonde, which, by the way, we did in 5.5 weeks, which is probably why I was a little stressed as
And
well.
I'll add a live orchestra. Like what high school productions have a live orchestra? Like that is so innovative and amazing.
Not many, and we're very, very fortunate that we have the amazing, I have to give him a shout out, music director, Mr. Ruben Reyes, who basically came from a regional theater company in Louisiana, and he's done musicals like, I think this was like his 35th musical. And yeah, he coordinated the whole orchestra, rehearsed with them. And then we just have one day for the kids then to work with them. And then we're trying to get tempos right. And
5.5 weeks.
It was crazy. It was crazy, but we were so fortunate. And this goes back to what's so special about the conservatory and bringing in the guest artist, is we brought in a guest director, and that's something new that we're trying. Even though, okay, the head director, Eddie Cavazos, is a rock star. I just got to say it. Got super, super lucky. Has his MFA from Boston Conservatory, yet he's a homegrown Valley boy, and that's what I love about him. And he brings that expertise and gets those kids so excited and motivated. And then we brought in TJ Newton, who is also a professional choreographer and director from New York. So these kids are getting to work with directors from New York. How cool is that? But he really came in and he worked them hard. And he just reached out to me the other day. He's like, please send me the link. I want to see it. And I, I want to come back. He was so impressed with the kids and the facilities and how quickly they learned. And it was neat for them to get to work with him. And so we closed Legally Blonde, and it was a huge success. That was another, like, are they going to come? We are still kind of in COVID, right? And I was very, very impressed with the turnout.
I saw it 3 times, and every time I saw the crowd, it was a great crowd.
It was
Everyone
a great
just
house.
Excited to come back to watch the things y'all produce.
It really was. And I find something fun about every show, something different. And that's the beauty of live theater. But yeah, right after it closed, we went into auditions for Man of La Mancha and The Sweet Science of Bruising, which is a straight play. And then Man of La Mancha is going to be a smaller musical, and we're going to do it in an intimate setting with a turntable. I'm giving away our big secret, but I'm going to go ahead and just put it out there. We have never used a revolve, which means this is 15 feet. So you might be, and we're doing it theater in the round. So you will be seated on stage. It is a immersive experience. You could reach out and touch one of the actors. Literally. You're so close.
You're going to forget that they're high school students. They're so talented already, but to take it to this next level of acting.
Just learning how to perform theater in the round. No one gets that opportunity in a high school setting. And they're going to go to college and be like, oh, theater in the round? Yeah, we've done that. So that's what we're hoping, not making them, of course, arrogant. We keep them humble and grounded.
Yes.
But when they get there, we want them to thrive and not be like, oh, they came from the New York LaGuardia Performing Arts School, we can't compete. No, they walk in there going, we know we're just as good, if not better. And we've had the training. And so it gives them the confidence. And that's what I'm seeing.
Give me some example, or an example at least, of a student who's graduated from this program and like right now what they're accomplishing, like, you know, is incredible and amazing.
You know, I want to go back because I've been here 30 years. There's so many students. And if anyone hears this that was my student, they're going to be very upset because I do have people that are working in film, that have made a living working on Broadway. But we're just focusing on the students that have left the conservatory. And we've always had talent in HCISD. But I think the difference in these students, and I'm going to use Gabby Ray Garza, who was one of our first graduates, who was, first time I saw her as a sophomore, I said, remember her name, because someday we will be paying to go see her. And she ended up receiving 4 or 5 offers from some of the top conservatory and performing arts programs in the country. And she landed on Point Park University in Pittsburgh. And so just recently she reached out to me and said, I got a lead. And I'm like, what? No one gets a lead as a sophomore at Point Park at the Pittsburgh Playhouse. And she landed a leading role. And I think what was so special about that is how in awe she still was of, you know, how did I do that? And I'm going, because you're Gabby Ray Garza, you're incredible. And I love that she's still so humble about it, and her directors see that in her. And so the feedback she's given me with what her directors are telling her, how far advanced she came in as a sophomore and rewarding her with a leading role as a sophomore, it really validates what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And tells me, you know, we're doing something right. We don't have it perfected, but we're going to keep trying until we get there. But I know we're making a difference. I've had students as talented as Gabby Ray, but did they have the training going into that? You know, it might have taken them a little longer to get there.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing. We're just working those innovative pieces to provide that experience. And I hate, you know, I thought we could go on for an hour would be too long, but we're almost out of time. But tell me about, our school board supports our fine arts so much. What's the national recognition that they've recently received for just all the love and care they give to the fine arts program?
There's a reason that I've been here for 30 years. And I love the Rio Grande Valley, but I love Harlingen CISD. And our school board has always been one of the best. And I've known that for a long time. I've known the support they've given me. But for the Kennedy Center to recognize them as the most supportive school board in the entire country for fine arts, that is huge. That speaks volumes. That's everything you need to know. So the reason we're able to do all that we're doing is because of them. I can sit here and dream all day long, but if I don't have the support from the school board, it doesn't happen. These kids are so lucky. There's no other place I'd rather be. If I had a child coming through, oh wait, I do have a child.
You do. A very talented senior student.
Yes, but I can't imagine him going anywhere else.
Right.
It's a wonderful district.
Absolutely. Well, Leanne, thank you so much for being with us on the In the Know with Mo podcast today. Thank everybody for listening. I mean, I feel, blessed to have had this opportunity. So thank you to you, Mo. And I just hope this podcast serves as a platform or tool to encourage you to go out and support your local public school system. What we do here in Harlingen is it's all for the kids, and it's all for making them, raise to the next level of what can we do for them and what can they accomplish themselves. So I encourage you to support public school funding, support your teachers. Yeah. I mean, they're so passionate, they're so gifted in what they're doing for our students, and just support innovative programs that are happening in your community. So I want to thank my Mo one last time for giving me this opportunity. And to just showcase the public school system in Harlingen and our special place, HCISD. So thank you all. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. You done? You were awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you.
I'll see you in 30 minutes.
Okay. See you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.